It's another episode of Speak Up, and I'm your host, Kimi Ebisine Oguniye. Speak Up is a program that is brought to you by Fat Corner, where we throw more light into handling emotional and psychological issues facing us in the world and in Africa specifically. If this is your first time here, or if you haven't liked or subscribed to our Fat Corner channel, then please do so by hitting that follow button on Facebook and subscribe button on YouTube. One trend that has become a bit more rampant in our society, and of which so many people are afraid to speak about, but in itself is posing as a challenge to society, to business, to development, and to nation building in general, is emotional abuse. I've heard several stories of people being emotionally abused, and this has affected them in so many ways. And then there are others who do not even realize that they are being emotionally abused. And so today on Speak Up, I'll be speaking on emotional abuse and the signs to recognize it. Once abuse is mentioned, our thought and focus is centered on physical violence and abuse because that is something we can see. We think about the bruises, the accidents, trips to the emergency room, and with all these, we believe there is no abuse. However, that is not necessarily the case. Neither is it only physical abuse that can be termed as an abuse. There are several forms of abuse that someone could be suffering from without even knowing it. One of this type of abuse is emotional abuse, and I personally believe is one of the worst forms of abuse. This is because it is not just a physical damage, it goes way beyond. It is extremely easy to fall into the trap of being emotionally abused and not realize it. When someone physically abuses you, it is obvious. The scars, the violence, and pain endured are visible and hard to misinterpret. Even if you give an excuse for it, still, you know that you have been hurt. However, in the case of emotional abuse, it is possible to be completely unaware about it. If you're with an emotionally abusive person, it can be quite difficult to identify the warning signs. That is because the person gets into your head and convinces you that they are right about you, no matter what they might be saying. It is all your fault it is happening. In the end, you don't really consider it abuse because they've convinced you that it is all truth anyway, and they convince you that it didn't happen the way you believe it happened. The ripple effects of emotional abuse are severe, especially if it occurs long term. And as such, it is important for us to be able to recognize the negative pattern of such behaviors, and that is the first step to overcoming it. Let us quickly look at some of the scenarios that can show that you are being emotionally abused. The very first one I'll be looking at is humiliation and criticizing. If you're being constantly humiliated and criticized, then you are being emotionally abused. Simple. The goal of this one is to attack your self-esteem and keep you constantly in their control. They come in either one, name calling. They call you stupid, they call you loser, or some other awful words that I cannot even say here. Or they call you some derogatory pet names. You think that they are being nice, but they are really derogatory, and those things are affecting your low self-esteem. Another form of it is character assassination. This usually involves the words always. You are always late. You are always wrong. You are always screwing up. You are always disagreeable, and so on. Instead of dealing with each issue as it stands on, they make it about your character. And once that happens, they make you feel that you are not a good person. Another one can come in the form of yelling, constantly yelling, screaming, and swearing. They are meant to intimidate you and make you feel small and inconsequential. It might be accompanied by fist pounding or throwing items. Another form is patronizing. Oh, sweetie, I know you're trying, but this is just beyond your understanding. Oh, don't worry, you're pretty yet. You just can't get it. Still attacking your low self-esteem. The person is patronizing you, making you feel like you is not insulting you, but in the sense the person is attacking your emotions and make you feel not. Another form is public embarrassment. They pick fights in the public. They expose your secrets in the public. They make fun of your shortcomings in the public. If someone wants to correct you, it shouldn't be in the public. Once those corrections are made in the public because they want to ridicule you, you are being emotionally abused. Another one is dismissiveness. You want to tell them something that is important to you, and they say, oh no, it's nothing. They dismiss all your ideas. They dismiss all your inputs. Whatever you're saying is, oh please, it's just not good. They just dismiss you. Don't make you complete your sentence. All of these are attacking your emotions, and this person doing this to you is emotionally abusive. Another is sarcastic. When you're trying to communicate with them, or when you complain, they say you are just being too serious, or you can't take a joke. No, it is back to being your fault. You cannot even say you don't like what is happening. It is your fault because you can't take a joke. Another one is insulting your appearance. It's okay to correct people's appearance. It's okay to tell them if they don't know. But once the person is constantly attacking your appearance, not in the nicest way, but just condemn it and make you feel small. They just tell you, just maybe before you go out, oh, this your hair is ugly. Oh, this your outfit is, what kind of outfit is this? There are ways to say wear something better, but once the person is just making you feel small, then you are being emotionally abused. Another one is belittling your accomplishments. Your abuser might tell you that your achievements mean nothing, or they even claim responsibility for it. You've done something wonderful. There is no compliment on you. The compliment is on them. They don't see what you're doing, but they focus all of it. They just say, oh, don't worry, you've done it well, it could be better. There is never a time where they think what you've done is good enough. That person doing that is emotionally abusive. And the last one on this part is pull down on your interest. They always find a way to make your interest not important. If you have an hobby and you want to talk about your hobby, they say your hobby is childish, your hobby is a waste of time, your hobby is just not good enough, or oh, this is way beyond your league, maybe we should look at something else. There is never a focus on your hobby. It is always about their hobby. We have to be careful. Do not let those words sink in. That is the start of how they become emotionally abusive to you. The next one I want to talk about is accusations and blame. The abuser always blames their problem on you and accuses you of doing everything wrong. Once something has gone wrong, it is your fault. They don't accept any responsibility for the consequence of their actions or words and constantly use you as a scapegoat. As individuals, we're meant to look at each situation and address where our fault is. That is the start. If every time a situation occurs and you always think the other person, the partner, is the person at fault and nothing you are emotionally abusing your partner. And if it's the other way around, if your partner always thinks it's all about you, you're the reason, they're accusing you, they're blaming you, it is always your fault. Every action is your fault. They are always right and you are always wrong. Then you're being emotionally abused. The next one is control and shame. They might try to make you feel inadequate and need to be controlled. Control can be about major things like where to live, where to work. It can also be about small things. I'm not saying that people cannot have discussions about those major things, but once the discussion is out, but it is now or full-time control, then you are being controlled. One of them is by where they make threats at you. For example, they could be threatening you and tell you it is either this or not. It's a threat to your life, to your family, to your friends, make you feel like if you don't do this, they're going to do this, and because of that threat, they keep you constantly in their control. Another form is monitoring your whereabouts. They want to know where you are all the time and insist that you must respond to calls or texts immediately. The minute you don't respond to a call or text, then there is a problem. They might show up just to see if you're supposed to be where you are. All of these is a form of control and emotional abuse. Another was unilateral decision making. It's always good to have conversations. Yes, there is always someone who will take the lead in the decision, but if your input is not considered at all, and every time it is a unilateral decision making, then the person is just trying to control you. Another is treating you like a child. They'll tell you what to wear, what how to eat, how you can make friends with. All of these is a form of control. Another, which of them is a bit also very strict, is the financial control. They keep you financially dependent on them alone, to the point that you cannot get anything for yourself without clearing it with them. And so you are constantly in control because you don't have any form of financial independence. Anyone should be able to give you a sum of financial independence, but once they put you in that point where you can't make any decisions financially because you need them, they are controlling you. And the last one I want to talk on this part is about demanding respect. When they believe no wrong should go unpunished and you're expected to defer to them at every time, they demand respect. They don't want to earn your respect, you just have to respect them. It is always a one-way street. If you are in these situations I've mentioned above, then you're being emotionally abused. And if you are doing this also, you're being emotionally abusive. So let's watch out on both ways. Another form of emotional abuse I'm going to look on is codependence. In this one, they may create a situation that makes you feel like you have no other choice than to be with them. It might be in the workplace, it might be at home. You have no other choice. This is the best you can get. Once they keep you in that situation, they may also try to interfere or stop your relationships you have with friends or family who supports you, to ensure that you continuously rely on them alone. This is another form of emotional abuse. Emotional neglect and isolation. Abusers tend to place their own emotional needs ahead of yours. Many abusers will try to come between you and the people who are supportive of you to make you more dependent on them, just like I said in codependence. They do this by maybe shutting down communications. They want to isolate you. They shut down communications. They ignore your attempt at conversations in person, by text or by phone. When you're trying to communicate, they shut it down. That way, you feel emotionally neglected. Another one is by withholding affection. They won't touch you, not even hold your hand or pat you on the shoulder. They even become completely distant from you. This happens even in workplace. There is no connection at all. They may even refuse sexual relations to punish you or get you to do something. Another form is dehumanizing you. They will look away when you're talking to them or stare at something else when you're speaking to them. When you're having conversations, they just make you feel not important. They're emotionally neglecting you. This is a form of emotional abuse. Keep you from socializing with others. You're not allowed to make friends. You're not allowed to see families. Once that isolation is kept, when you're being secluded from every other person, that way they are also emotionally abusing you, calling you needy. When you're really down and I'll reach out for support, they don't see that this time you need support. You're just too needy. You're too needy. The world can't stop turning for your little problem. Oh, please, it is not all about you. all of this is a way of emotionally abusing you. It shouldn't be so, because once they keep you emotionally neglected, it's a form of abuse. Another one is indifference. They see you hurt or crying and they do nothing. They just can't be bothered. What relationship can that be if your spouse is going through something and you're indifferent about it? Oh, please, that is really bad. You need to start giving some form of emotional support to the people around you. And another one is disputing your feelings. Whatever you feel, they'll say you're wrong. To feel that way, or that's not really what you feel at all. That's not really how it's meant to be. That is not how you're supposed to feel. Once someone is doing that to you, then you're being emotional. These and many more are some of the signs of emotional abuse. There is help out there. And watch out, as in subsequent episodes, I'll be speaking on more specifics and how to overcome this. If you have any question or comments, or if you have stories around emotional abuse that you'd like us to address, then please feel free to get in touch with me by sending an email to info@fatcorner.org or through a direct message on our Facebook page at fatcorner.org. You can also put your comments in the comment section of this broadcast. Thank you. Until next time, speak up.